Greetings, welcome, and good day. You are now tuned into the 26th episode of the Seasoned Vet Podcast. I'm so happy you could make it to another chapter of this show. This week we're joined by Coast Guard veteran Yeoman First Class Tinunola Adelakin. YN1 Adelakin enlisted in the U.S. Coast Guard in 1999 after learning about the military's GI Bill and how it could help her finish college. You know, not many E3s or non-rates would volunteer for sea duty, because at that rank, it's an almost sure way to get confined to being a mess cook. Tinunola didn't mind. She was just glad for the change in atmosphere. A few years after joining, the cutter she was assigned to pulled into a port and let everyone out for liberty on the morning of September 11th. Because of how quickly everyone was recalled, about 21 people were left behind. But not Tinunola. Her strong and impeccable intuition is not only what kept her level-headed during her 20-year Coast Guard career, it's also the reason she didn't get left behind that day. Tinula's Coast Guard career took her to places like Topeka, Kansas, Puerto Rico, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Seattle, Washington, just to name a few. So she's experienced every kind of climate, work, and weather-related. This week is the seasoned vet's first-year anniversary, and I'm so glad I got to celebrate it with a first-class yeoman. And that's why this week's episode is titled First Year with First Class. Friend! Good afternoon. How's it going?
Pretty good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad to finally get in touch with you. I've actually been fighting a little, I want to say a little strep situation all week. And I was like, man, I really just hope that I can, honey and tea and lemon and throat lozenge my way through this because I was really looking forward to talking to you today. And I'm so glad that I'm able to. So friend.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So friend, what is your name and what is your connection to the service?
Okay, my name is Tinunola Adelakin. And my connection to the service is kind of weird because I didn't find out that I had a connection to the service until after I joined.
What?
Yes, it's kind of interesting. So after I joined, everyone kept on saying, did I join because of my other grandpa? And now, first of all, I was like, there's another grandpa? So the story is, my mother's side is American and my father's side is Nigerian. So my mother, her biological father, Milton Chapman, used to be in the Coast Guard in Baltimore many, many moons ago.
Okay.
And people thought that I knew this and thought I decided to follow in the family footsteps. And I didn't know that Grandpa Chapman was in the Coast Guard at any time. I had no idea. And I'd never met him or heard of him. He was never spoken of. I just knew of my Grandpa Dave, who is the one that raised my mother.
Okay.
So that is my connection to the Coast Guard in terms of background.
Wow. That's pretty fascinating.
I know. Yeah, I did. I think I'm on my mother's side, many of us have joined the military.
Okay.
Army, Air Force, probably I might be the only Coast Guard, and then, my grandpa Milton. And on my dad's side, I'm the only one who has been in the military that I am aware. I don't even think anyone went to military school.
Wow.
I think I'm the only one on my dad's side who's ever been in the military.
Okay. So it's safe to say that you're definitely the first woman in your family to join the military?
I think so, yes. I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, but you did mention that you're kind of from the East Coast, like the Virginia area?
Yes, so my maternal side lived in Virginia. In fact, they lived in Newport News.
Okay.
And so that was where, if people asked me, where's home for me, it was always Virginia, because that's where my grandparents were. And that's where, if there was like an emergency or something, that's pretty much where we would end up. Like my mom would fly in from Minnesota, and I would fly in from wherever I was stationed, and we will corral in Newport News.
That makes sense.
So I always thought that's where I was going to retire until it wasn't. So yeah, that's what I always thought I was going to end up.
Right on, right on. You know what? You Virginia folks, y'all love joining two branches of service, like the Navy and the Coast Guard. Like y'all love the water services.
Interesting.
I'm a Southerner, so like we're real big on the Army and the Air Force down south. Was the Coast Guard your first choice in branch of service?
Well, so here's the thing. When I started trying to research what I was going to do to pay for college, I kind of got curious about joining the military, and I had gone to a MEPS, no, not a MEPS, I think a recruiter, and I'd spoken to a Navy recruiter and taken the ASVAB. So that was, even though I wasn't, you know how you can't just go do something because you're curious? I wasn't like, this is a for sure thing. So I just went and took the ASVAB and I never pursued it further than that. And then I think it was the following year after that I was like, okay, you really want to go back to college. You need to get serious about this. What do you want to do? And I did some research about, okay, if I go to join the military, where can I join where I would be on land, where I can go, the wheels were now turning, where I could go to school and be working at the same time. So I kind of did some research, and that's how I ended up joining the Coast Guard.
Okay. Just to backtrack a little bit, you said you took the ASVAB and then you stepped away and you were able to just like take time and think. Tinunola, I want you to know how crazy that is, because once you take the ASVAB, recruiters are on you like hound dogs.
Well, no, I don't think I scored high enough to be like a person of interest at that point.
They don't care.
That's true, actually. They're also trying to meet quotas. No, I really,
Tinunola, you know they don't care.
That's true. That's true. I was trying to really be, conscious about what I was doing, because I admire those who I want to join to fight for my country. I just wanted a degree. And I wanted to make sure that what I'm doing will line up with my personal goal.
Okay.
So I was very, kind of determined to make that happen. And I waited and did some more research, and then actually I waited, and then I was working on cruise ships, and the Coast Guard was everywhere. That was it.
You were working on a cruise ship before you joined the Coast Guard?
Say that again?
You were working on a cruise ship before you joined the Coast Guard?
Oh yeah, I worked on a few cruise ships before I joined the Coast Guard, and I always saw the Coast Guard out there, so it kind of got me curious.
Wow. All right. But if you're on a cruise ship and you always see the Coast Guard, Tinunola, what were y'all doing to where y'all saw the Coast Guard so much?
We'll just see them passing by, or I think there was also a time when I was on land and I saw like a small boat station somewhere. There was always, and then of course sometimes you read Essence or Ebony magazine and there'll be an advert. So there was kind of like, the Coast Guard was in my subconscious. So I was just kind of like, okay, let me see what they're about. Maybe I could facilitate my life via this entity right here and see what could come of it.
Right on. Tinunola, how do you feel about your time in uniform? Does any particular time period stand out to you?
How do I feel? I will say bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
I will say that, bittersweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think all of our listeners understand where you're coming from when you say that.
Yeah, I think, definitely bittersweet. And I think the adverse times are the times that stood out the most for me, like all the experiences that I had that was in the negative made me, I hate to do the cliche of made me a stronger person, because let's just be clear, I am tired of being strong.
Hey, amen, all right? We all are, okay? Girl.
I just want to be me.
Right. I don't want to be strong. I want to be rested.
Yeah.
I want to be at peace. I want to be happy.
Exactly. Those things. Yes, I want to be calm, at peace, happy. Yeah. So, yeah.
I want to be relaxed. I don't want to have to show strength all the time. I got you.
Exactly.
I feel
So,
you. Oh,
yeah.
what years were you in the Coast Guard, if you don't mind my asking?
I was in the Coast Guard from 1999 January till June of 2019.
Ooh, somebody got out right before the pandemic. Congratulations now.
Yes, I did.
You missed it so well.
Yes, I did.
I'm proud of you. All right. Oh, that means you were in the service at the time of all of our wars, actually.
Yes, I was.
You were in at the time of 9/11. Can you tell me about
Yes.
Can you tell me about that time period for you?
Let's see, 9/11. So
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I joined in January of 99, and I think what year did 9/11 happen?
2001.
2001.
Yeah.
Okay, so during that period of time, there was the Coast Guard cutter Tahoma did a message looking for seamen to come on the cutter for their Northern Fisheries Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I had been through some very unique experiences at Station St. Inigo's in Maryland, and I decided that I needed a break before I got broken.
Okay.
So I asked to go. The message came off. I read it. I immediately showed it to the XO and said, I'm interested in being sent to this cutter. Do you know you're going to be mess cooking? And yeah, that's fine. Send me to the cutter. Everybody thought I had lost my mind. More seamen volunteers to go underway. Like, it just is not what people do. But I felt that in order for me to be of sound mind, I needed to get away from the station for at least a little bit. So I went on the cutter, which I boarded in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And we got underway, I believe it was like that week of September 11, we got underway maybe a few days before. We're doing, Northern Fisheries Patrol, and I was breaking in, whatever you break in there, I think it was like crewman or something. I had my package, getting things signed off. And I remember thinking drawing the water main was about the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. Why am I drawing the water main? First of all, I will not be the person they're going to put there if they're trying to put anything out. Well, I could be if everyone, is eliminated. But I remember thinking that had to be so ridiculous. But anyway, we get on the way, and the cutter's doing its thing. And then we pull into Newport, Rhode Island, the morning of September 11, which
Oh, wow.
we actually had a very crazy experience pulling into Rhode Island. And we finally made it into Rhode Island. And as we, we were about to get off the cutter, and it happened. And we're watching it on the news. And I remember thinking, this is interesting. It's liberty. Everybody's been granted liberty. So I made an appointment at a nearby place. I was going to get a massage and just kind of spend the day by myself.
Yeah.
So I'm about to leave, and we see all that, but something I remember. So when I was done with the massage, and this thing is still on TV, and I'm thinking, I feel that I need to call the cutter because there's something feels off.
Right.
I need to call the cutter. So I called the cutter. And they're like, where are you? And I said where I was. And they're like, oh, you need to get back right away. That they've been trying to get as many people back on board to leave because we have been directed to go and be the command central on the Hudson.
Wow.
So therefore, I got a cab, raced back to the cutter.
Wow.
And we left. Like, I don't even think that we were there like 15 more minutes after that.
Wow.
And then we left and came into New York that night, the very same night. And we left 21 crew members behind, and they had to be brought over by the Coast Guard cutter Monomoy in the following, I think either the day after or something, and they were brought to join because It was just to say, everybody went on liberty. People turned off their phones. It was just a thing.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to come back until a certain time. So nobody did any kind of, there wasn't any protocol as to, there probably was protocol, but everybody had a distinct time they had to be back at the cutter.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no one thought something was out of the ordinary going on. After watching it, I just thought, I have a funny feeling I should not be here.
Right.
I need to go back because it just felt weird. So I just went and,
wow.
But so I went back and I called her like, you need to come back right now. So I just left. So that was my experience of 9/11. And we were there until, let's see, I think I went back to my unit about, September. I can't remember if it was September, October. I went back home, back to Maryland.
Wow. Y'all left 21 crew members behind.
Yes, we sure did.
I mean, you had 21. To. Understandably, it was 2001.
Yeah, it was just too many things going on.
Yeah, it was 2001. Cell phones weren't as big as they are today, so like it's harder to get in contact with everybody. The fact that you even took a cab.
I didn't have a cell phone, actually. I did not have a cell phone back then. I didn't get a cell phone until 2002.
How on earth did you know to call? That's amazing. You have really good intuition.
I used to not say that to people because what happens is when the intuition starts displaying itself, it scares people. But my close friends they're just aware of it. And they're like, oh, okay. So yes, I do have pretty good intuition. That is actually a true statement.
Good. I'm glad we agree. Tinunola, how do you think your experience could have been improved? Or could it have been?
I do believe that my experience could have been improved. And I think that, there are a lot of variables here. I think when things are happening, people need to learn to listen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
People who are also observing things, who realize that the hand of the person who's going through the adverse event might be tied, they might not be able to fight for themselves. People need to start stepping up and fighting for others. And I think, I definitely believe that, commands need to pay attention, because if I think of at least one of my experiences, if the same event happened to me as a civilian employee, it would have cost the company millions of dollars. That people need to be aware of what's going on. People can no longer say, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
So people need to be consciously aware of what's going on within their commands, having conversations with people, listening to what they're saying, and people should no longer be bystanders. I think that would definitely improve the branch of, at least the branch I was in, the Coast Guard. Yes, it would definitely improve the experiences that I had.
Wow. I think most of us listening to you, I think all of us listening to you will agree, especially given the current climate. Have you been keeping up with this Coast Guard sexual assault case? Operation Fouled Anchor.
No, I have not. I happen to know that I know something happened at the Coast Guard Academy, which I actually was stationed at the Academy as well.
Oh, wow.
And wait a second. There was was it? I think there was an event while I was there.
I think
there was a major event while I was there.
What year was it?
I believe. I was there between 2010 and 2014.
Yeah, there was definitely an event.
Yes, there was an event. And how do I know this? Because I worked in the legal office.
I know that because it's the Coast Guard Academy, and events happen there almost every day.
I saw that. Yeah, so I don't know of it. But I will be honest when I say that I temper the news I listen to, as in I'm very, very careful about what I consume when it pertains to the Coast Guard.
I don't blame you.
I have to be. What's the word I'm looking for here? I have to be very careful.
You have to keep your peace.
Yes, I have to be mentally prepared to deal with it if I choose to. So if I do it, it will probably be, maybe I'll read whatever it is or watch whatever it is on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That way, by Monday, I can function and be and be of sound mind in front of people.
Right, right.
So I heard there's stuff going on, but I have not, partaken in the consumption of the details, so to speak.
Well, it's a lot. And if you're not ready to like dive into it, no one can blame you because after being a member of the Coast Guard, you already know what we're capable of. All right.
That is so unfortunate.
Very much. And some of this can be triggering, some of it can be it's all exhausting, but like I cannot blame you for not wanting to consume all of it. Tell me about a time when you experienced something either good or bad that you know to be unique to you because you are a black woman.
I remember when I read this question. Let's see. I can tell you actually about a good story and a bad story.
Okay.
I'll start with the bad one first.
Right on.
So I was stationed in San Juan, Puerto Rico between 2007 and 2010. And I worked in I can't remember what we called it at the time because you know how they flip-flop the names back and forth. I don't know when you came in, but when I was in, they called it the SPO. No, was it the SPO or the
SPO.
personnel office?
Yep.
Whatever it was called at the time, I worked there.
The servicing personnel office, which is the back. Yup. So yeah, you're right. We separate the yeoman in two categories, admin and SPO.
Yeah.
Admin works with people, SPO works with paper.
So I first started as the logistics officer's admin person, and then I moved down into the SPO. That was when things kind of, was off to the races. In that particular office, we had, the YN1s, YN2s, everybody in the space, and then there was a chief, and then there was a warrant. Mm-hmm. So what I observed was that there was several things that was going on, and it was, by the time I showed up there, everybody already knew each other. So it's not that I also don't. I've been told that I don't. I grew up in Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria for the first 15 years of my life. So I've been told that I don't act like the normal, whatever this means, because I don't even know what it means. Like I don't act like the average African American. Mm-hmm. I have very different experiences to the experience that an African American female would have if they lived in the U.S. for their whole life. So It makes me a little different than everybody. So I got used to being called all that. And I remember showing up there, everybody had already formed their, cliques. So I just kind of, was just doing my own thing, playing Lone Ranger, I'd left one SPO, I did, admin work, came back to another SPO. So I'm familiar with the work. And basically what happened, there was a series of things that occurred while I was there. One of which was there was a building called, there was Building 100 and Building 101. And I think it was Building 100 that had, for some crazy reason that I'll never understand, they had a yeoman in that building, and I do not know why. But the yeoman in that building could not assist the people in the building. The yeoman to the people in the building was me. So What happened was somebody moved out of the barracks. So the way it works is you move out of the barracks in Puerto Rico, you're getting overseas housing allowance. You bring in your lease, and we give you up to the amount of the lease says, or up to the max amount, depending on whichever one is the appropriate amount. So the person brings in all their paperwork, you're changing entitlements in the system, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And for this particular lady, whose name is, I wish I could remember her name right now. Apparently, when I switched her entitlements, I did everything except for the allowance you get when you move out of barracks. So there was one of them that I didn't switch over.
Okay.
It was not intentional. I didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
Okay.
Those things happen all the time. Yeah.
So I didn't know, and I just went up. I just kept on working. When she found out, the rule of thumb is you look at your LES every month. If something is wrong with it, you go to your Yeoman right away. So when she found out there was something wrong with her LES, that that something was wrong with the entitlements, she went to the yeoman in the building she worked in. That yeoman told her, "You need to go to T right away. She will fix this for you." And explain to her that it was an error, that, as you can see, all the other stuff was done, but this one, that it wasn't intentional, that she should go and talk to me so I can make the change.
Right.
What does this young lady do? She decides to write an email. Now, please understand, she never came to me.
Of course not.
She wrote an email to her supervisor, her commander, my supervisor, the ward, everybody.
Everybody except you.
Everybody except me. So I have no idea that this occurred. I have no clue. My supervisor at the time now called me after the email had been forwarded to him by the chief, and he called me and he said, "Are you aware of this?" And I said, "What happened?" And I looked at it and I said, it wasn't intentional. I said that, I'm pretty thorough when I do these things, but this was an oversight. I'll fix it right away. And he said, "Did you not get the email?" Now he's like trying to figure out why I didn't know. I'm like, I do not know what you're talking about.
Because no one came to you.
So he now, either he forwarded the email to me or he printed it so I could see it. I now read it. And pretty much chapter and verse of what this lady wrote was that I had some kind of attitude towards her.
Of course.
And I did this intentionally. I'm thinking I did this intentionally. And I remember thinking to myself that, let me see if I understand this. I intentionally turned something, I didn't give you something in which was actually in addition to your income, which means that once I turn this, you're going to get money. If I did this intentionally, I would have made sure that you owe the Coast Guard. Because, I would have made sure, seriously, like if I was going to do something to you, I would have made sure that I had done something in the system when you end up owing money. Now the Coast Guard owes you money. So I remember, and the funny part of it was that the way she waxed on in this email carried a whole bunch of people along this journey of craziness that was not based in reality. And I thought, what in the world is going on? So, of course, my chief talks to me. Did you do this on purpose? And I'm thinking, I do not know this person. She comes in here. She asks questions. I provide her information. And that's pretty much it. I don't know her. Now this is going to make me go crazy here because I really wish I remember her name. But I do too. There was something. Really, really wish I remember her name now.
Was she a white woman?
Anyway, yes, she is. Yes, she is.
All right. The fact that she would accuse you just of having an attitude, that...
I had no idea what that was all about.
Congratulations, Tinunola. You are an African-American woman.
It was just so bizarre.
Because we get accused of that shit all the time for no reason.
It was so strange.
She accused you of having an attitude and having malicious intent for something that you did on accident. Like, it was an oversight. And so really, if you want to do her dirty, you could have just put her in debt.
It was just weird. So, and the funny thing is that, of course, when it's done to the magnitude of which this happened, everybody is now on the ride of Crazy Town, and no one is operating from. Let's think about this for a second, and make it make some sense. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how does this make sense? Like, so anyway, that occurred. That happened, and I thought, okay, you rally and you kind of fix it and you move on. So I remember thinking that it felt, at that time, the way everybody was reacting to the situation, it felt like everybody was drinking crazy juice to me. Because I just thought, how is it that no one's thinking about this from a point of, let's dissect the issue.
Of logic. No one's thinking
of logic.
Of logic.
I didn't do it. It was a lost cause. So I just left it. Even my supervisor said the one thing she should have done, she didn't do. But got all those people. It was a. When I mean a giant fiasco, that's an understatement of this one entitlement that I did not turn on for her. Fast forward about a month later, I'm standing duty, and next thing I know, the reservists come in. One of the reservists is a friend, so I thought actually.
Oh, wow.
And I had duty, so I was carrying around a bunch of keys. I went to do rounds and something, and I came back and found out that the reservist had locked the office where all my stuff was in that I could take to my room so I could, get ready for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew they were staying on base, so I just walked over to the rec deck by the galley and I asked if one of them could please come and unlock the door because I don't have the key to the building so that I can get in and grab my bag. It was a simple, hey guys, they were playing ping pong or something. Hey guys, can one of you please unlock the door? I need to get in and it's locked. Really nothing to it. It was just a request. This either was my duty, either I stood duty Friday/Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Friday/Saturday. I come in on Monday morning and I'm just doing my work. My chief comes out of my office and asks what happened this weekend.
And you are confused because you don't know. What did happen?
Nothing happened this weekend. I had duty, but there wasn't any events that happened this weekend. And she's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Nothing happened this weekend. So she was like, okay, well, you need to go and stand in my office. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I go in there and I'm standing there because I'm realizing that something has transpired and I'm not sure what's about to go down. So I need you to picture, if you could take your mind back to boot camp,
mm-hmm.
when the company commanders were standing inches from your face yelling.
Okay, but there's no reason you should be experiencing that in the fleet as a yeoman.
This man stood in front of me.
Absolutely not.
Inches away from my face, showering me with saliva.
Absolutely not.
Who do you think you are? You're not the only one here. Why can't you just be like everybody? He is yelling like a crazy person. Tears. Mind you, I have no idea what he's talking about because I don't know what happened during the weekend. When he finishes yelling me and washing me from head to toe with his saliva,
gross.
He now tells me that the reservists reported me that I yelled at them to come and open the office door because they locked me out. And I was just like, how? What? I just stood there because I just thought I have to have offended somebody and the gods were punishing me for something because it never happened. I walked in, hey guys, can you please open the door? That was what transpired. What happened was one thing. What they said happened,
right? Something
completely different. And I remember thinking, and just the idea of not even being asked anything, but for somebody to come in there and treat me like I was back in slavery days, I just stood there. I was literally in tears because I just couldn't. I just thought this is just the height of craziness for me. So he finishes, he walks out. My chief, who's a female, just sat there, did nothing, just sat there.
Of course not.
And I always wondered, like, when the crazy train's coming through, like, how do you guys not stop and think that if it sounds crazy, that when they say someone did something that just is so asinine, that doesn't ever occur to people to actually just, check and see what is going on.
She was just as spineless as he was.
So that occurred. A few months later, I made it to advance. Now, mind you, the fact that he was saying things to me like, why can't you be like everybody else, blah, blah, blah. I honestly, was like... That
sounds pointed. That's bullying.
This man is racist.
Yeah.
Like, I just was like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Months later, I made it up on the list to become a YN1. What does he do? He does all the stuff he needs to do to take my name off the list. I pleaded and begged and had people talk. And I remember going to the logistics officer The logistics officer said that I have to believe what he says. And that's another thing, that when people tell you stuff, sometimes you need to do your due diligence. The logistics officer was on his way out. The new guy, I pleaded with him as well that I didn't do anything. And the events this man is talking about, I deserve to be able to be promoted to the next rank. And he said, I don't think he's racist. I actually did a discrimination case that they came to investigate from Miami. And the guy who showed up seemed like he was buddies with everyone. That was when I knew that they weren't going to hear me. And in Puerto Rico at the time, they had two captains. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but they were co-captains. There was a male and a female. But the female had the audacity to tell me that there is no way that the logistics officer could be racist because he had a family.
Girl, get the...
And I thought,
what?
This man is about to...
Was his family black?
He was
but even if they were...
He was ruining my career, and this is what she says. Anyway, the report came back saying it was unfounded, and that's how I did not get promoted that year to first class.
Hold on. He was able to hold back a promotion from somebody who never had a write-up, someone who didn't have any Article 15s, you didn't have any NJPs.
Yeah, he was able to.
Because
they had to do an adverse. The way they did it was they wrote up an adverse. There's a way you do where you write a letter to advancements and have them take it off, and they will do a special set of marks. So that's what they did.
They did a special set of marks based on something that a reservist said? That once again was unfounded?
Yes, they did that. And then I heard that he actually was bragging to people about this.
Of course he was.
Years later, that
piece of shit.
That he was able to make sure that I didn't get promoted. But here's the funny part of all this. So remember that I said I went to speak to the new guy?
Yes. Okay.
So the new guy, he's from Puerto Rico. And when I transferred from Puerto Rico to the air station, I think most people knew where I was getting stationed. Anyway, so the very first year, the way that works in the air station, not the air station, the Coast Guard Academy, is that during graduation, which happens in May, it's an all hands on deck thing, which means if you wear a uniform, you will be on the base that day doing something. They had graduation, and I was in charge of one of the parking lots. As I was there, all of a sudden I see the new guy drive in to the base because I guess he came to support somebody who was graduating. Now mind you, the incident that occurred. I can't remember what month it was, but it was in 2009, and I believe it was the graduation of 2010 that this happened. And I had left early in 2010, or something to that effect. So he comes in, he drives in, I direct him to a place to park, and he walks up to me and he says, "I wish I had listened to you." I got curious and I called around, and they said, I didn't get any stories, but basically what they said was a lot of things that the logistics officer did afterward did indicate and show some of his racist behavior. But yes, I did lose a rank because of him. But on the bright side, I made it the September of the following year.
Good. And
one of the people who was stationed with me called me, and his name is Angel Nazario. He called me screaming on top of his lungs because he was happy that I made it. Because he knows what happened to me in Puerto Rico. So that was the bad story of my experience that happened because I'm a black woman. And the good story was this occurred in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay.
So at the time I worked in the SPO, and I enjoyed working in that SPO because, I had my own records, I had everything down to a science, I knew what I was doing, and all of a sudden, my favorite time is actually during transfer season, because what I will do is I will cut and paste the notes that are in the orders.
Yeah, the order notes.
Order notes. I'll cut and paste in a Word document.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the married, the single, I had I think 4 different ones.
Yeah.
I knew, so depending on what they had on their PCS departing worksheet, I just knew what templates to fill out, cut and paste into the order notes, and just call it a day. Mm-hmm. Very simple. So easy. So now it's time for me to transfer. My car at the time was almost paid off. And my boss was like, are you going to do anything? Like, he looked at my paperwork. He was like, you're not getting... So people were just asking in the office, what are you going to be doing? And I told them, and they were like, you're not taking advance pay? I'm like, no, I don't need advance pay for anything.
Right on.
They're like, are you thinking of taking your car? I'm like, yeah. They're like, it could be sticky if your car is not paid off. And I was like, oh, okay. I think I could see their point. Because sometimes I think some banks will have a problem if you're going overseas, but I was just going to Puerto Rico, but I didn't want to take a chance where I was going to now have to be doing, verbal judo with an entity because of a car that's not paid off. And it was like maybe $2,000 left.
Okay.
So I got advance pay.
Okay.
So I could, pay off my car.
Oh, smart.
And then did that. But here's the funny part. So I was the last person to leave for PCS season that year. This was summer of 2010. And so obviously I'd done everybody's paperwork, sent it ahead for the captain at the time to review, especially if he had to sign all the people who were asking for more than 12 months to pay back the monies. And because I didn't want to have a financial burden on myself, I decided to do the 24 months, which means he had to sign the paperwork. Now, this story that I'm telling right now, I did not know until after I had left. Okay. So because my boss didn't tell this story to me, Senior Chief Paul was the person in charge of the sport at the time. So I give her the form and that's it. So she now calls me after I left and says, I need to tell you something. And she said that basically what happened was when I submitted my form to have the 24 months, that was the 12, so that I don't incur hardship, the captain came into her office to ask her why I was doing that. And she asked him, did you come here to talk to me about that? And he said, yes. And she said, how come you didn't come here to talk to me about any of the other ones? And she said, he looked at her, turned around and walked out.
All right.
Because I think he realized that he was being called out, which is what she was doing.
Yeah, good. Wow. I'm just glad that somebody in your chain of command had a backbone. Seriously.
Like, what are you doing? So yeah, she said she asked him the question, and he just looked at her, turned around, and walked out. So that was I thought that was very funny.
Nice.
I had no idea it had happened.
Nice.
So
good
those
for
are my
him.
true stories.
He tucked his tail and left. Good.
Yeah, he did.
When you brought complaints to your chain of command, do you feel that you were heard?
Not all the time. Maybe 1% of the time.
Maybe 1%? Jesus.
But then you need no, I am serious.
I know you are. I'm laughing to keep from crying, girl. Damn. I know you serious. That's the problem.
And you need to come with the receipts because nobody believes you.
No, you don't need receipts. I believe you. Sight unseen. I know you telling the truth. So 1%.
Yeah, 1% of the time.
That sounds exactly right. Okay.
I think it was easier for them to believe if they heard it or saw it, or if somebody recounted something that they had observed.
It's easy to believe anybody but you.
Yeah, that was my experience.
In the beginning of your career, when you needed guidance and mentorship, were those resources provided to you, or did you have to seek them out?
It depends on how you look at it. So while there were resources, sometimes, or there were things afforded to you to make things go a certain way, there were gatekeepers who chose not to help. And sometimes you were able to just, wait it out, and that would work. And I think one of them was, back in the day, you could have 5 points waived of your ASVAB score, but it had to be a combination of 2 scores. So if you needed one of this plus one of that to make something, and you needed 5 points, you could actually have 5 points waived. Okay. So at my first station in the Coast Guard, I had requested a 5-point waiver, and the XO refused. And then when he left, I asked the next person, but because the first person refused, he also refused.
Wow, what the hell?
And then it was weird.
No, that's not weird. They're just being lazy. That's lazy leadership. They're just doing what the people before them did. And that's kind of what the problem, one of the many problems of the Coast Guard is. Yeah. Not to bring it back way too far, but that's kind of the problem with Operation Fouled Anchor. It's like every commandant was doing what the commandant before them was doing, and that's basically nothing. That was a rant. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Interesting. So the second guy did nothing. So what now happened was, by the time since they both refused to waive it, I now had to retake the test. Guess what happened? When I took it, it got compromised somewhere, so I had to take it again.
Wow.
When if they had just waived it in the first place, I wouldn't have had to wait as long as I did just to go to A school.
Right.
So yeah.
And you were a non-rate a bit of time, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a non-rate from January of 1999, and I made rate in February of 2002.
Wow. That's almost a whole enlistment.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Have you been able to make friends with other Black lady veterans? Are you purposeful about building your village?
Yeah, I have been very, very lucky.
Okay.
I mean, probably maybe luckier than most.
Good.
And when I was stationed in Louisiana, I was by then now a single mom who had 2 children. Basically, just to kind of go back a few, when I got orders to Louisiana, I called and I asked, do you have overnight duty? Because I started to do my research from day one so that I knew what I needed to be mentally ready for, if I needed to be getting some kind of help, if I needed to save extra money for certain things, I needed to know what I was going to be doing. I reached out, hey, do we have overnight duty? Oh no, YN1, you're not going to be standing duty here. The YN1s don't stand duty. Okay, no big deal. How about I show up and I get a package? You have 21 days to qualify. I was like, what?
Wow.
And I thought, okay, this is going to get interesting. So luckily for me, at the time, my stepmom was staying with me from Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So when I had overnight duty, that wasn't even a thing. When she left, one of the mothers of my coworkers, whose mother was also an Army veteran, knew a little bit of what had occurred. And she said, when your stepmom leaves and you need someone to watch your kids, I'll do it free of charge. So whenever I had duty, all I had to do was, I just bought stuff in the fridge. I always made sure I had a rotisserie chicken from Costco. At the time, it was Costco. Rotisserie chicken from Costco. Stuff that I knew people liked, so that, and they will do the picking up from daycare. So everything, I worked seamlessly. So yes, I definitely had some people, and I know Laura Reese also watched my kids a few times. Absolutely. And there were some allies who stepped in. It was just a miracle of those who stepped in. My friend who's not African-American, Jennifer Hall, also. She, to my kids, she's Mommy Jennifer. She watched them also. Everybody stepped in.
Nice.
And so people did come in and just help out and do the best that they could to assist at the time. Because I got lucky, especially in that particular situation. I got very, very lucky.
I'm glad you have Village. It's refreshing to know that you have Black lady veteran friends. That's what's up. Tinunola, this is my favorite question. Tell me a war story. A story where you were tested but come out on top. Be the hero in your story.
Okay.
Look, if you threw somebody off a building, that's fine. The audience already forgives you. If you push somebody into oncoming traffic, I personally forgive you as well. If you threw a brick through somebody's window, I'm gonna guess that they had it coming. So it's fine, girl. Tell me your story, whatever it is. I'm here for you.
Okay. I don't get to tell the story often. So I guess here it is. So in August of 2014, I believe. Yeah, wait. Yeah, 2014, August of 2014, I reported to Air Station New Orleans in Belchase, Louisiana.
Okay.
And the day I showed up, I actually reported on Coast Guard Day. If you ever want to show up in the summer, please, everybody should just report in on Coast Guard Day because nobody's there. That's the best day to report in.
It's the best day.
I've done, after knowing what I know for a few years, I knew how to arrange certain things that would work best for me. So I showed up on that day and basically I think I let them know that I was on maternity leave. Because I didn't want to show up and they're like, okay, what just happened? So I let them know I just had a baby.
Okay.
And what uniform I was going to be wearing. I wasn't going to be showing up in Bravos. I'm not doing that. I'm going to be showing up in the uniform that works best for what I look like right now. And everybody wore at the time the ODU, so that's what I wore. Showed up, and of course there's nobody there. So and they said, oh, just go to the thing that they were having. So I go to wherever they decided to do the Coast Guard Day celebration that year. And normally in that area, there's like one big one that they do. So I went with my family.
Nice.
So I didn't really get to meet any of the co-workers that day. So when I finally showed up at the office, dressed and ready to go, I met my colleagues at the time, went to the communication room, met everybody, and, kind of tried to settle in. At the time, I supervised so I'm the YN1, there's a YN3 that I was supervising. I noticed that he, kind of how you're just listening to stuff that just sounds slightly crazy.
Okay.
And you're new, so you're just kind of watching the lay of the land because I'm normally like to observe. Like I observe and I, make sure that I mind my own P's and Q's. And as long as the person doesn't step to me and they keep it, business, I don't say anything. I think at about month, maybe 5 or 6, 2 people came to talk to me and they were like, I don't know if you know this, but this guy who you supervise, he's going around here saying all kinds of crazy stuff about you. And I was like, what? The funny thing is that to do that the air station is quite small.
Yes.
And at any given time, there isn't a lot of people on staff because there are some of these that work in shifts. Some people do the night. So we're not all there at the same time. Granted that majority of the people are there during the daytime working hours. We're not all there at the same time because there's cases going on. Some people are out for training. So for this individual to go around saying all sorts of rubbish, I honestly didn't know because I don't think I'm brand new, so I wasn't in the cliques that he was in. So he went around saying stuff, and I think it was Maurice McCombs and somebody else and said, hey, there's a thing going on. You need to know. And not only do you need to know, you need to do something. I was like, how bad is it? And he said, the thing is, I think the way he put it at the time was that I'm glad it's not about me because if it was, we're going to have a problem. So I knew whatever it is he was saying was really, really bad. Now, since it wasn't said to my face, I just kind of, I didn't escalate things. Like I said, I like to observe people. I like to interact with you and see what you're about. I don't jump to reactions and things like that at all. So I prefer to work in the shadows, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, yes.
So I started paying attention to this young man and the way when I talked to him, when I told him to do stuff, how he reacted and things like that. And it's just regular yeoman work. I'm not asking you or telling you to do anything that is out of the realm of your knowledge as a YN3. And even if it were that you don't know, guess what? There's resources upon resources I can teach you, not a big deal.
Is this a white man?
He is actually Hispanic.
Okay.
So anyway, so this goes on. Now we're sliding into 2015. Things escalate. I remember one day I now started, I'm the kind of person who, if there is a problem, I like to find out, if I'm going to tell you there's a problem, I'm coming to you with a solution, because I think sometimes it's best that way so people don't balk when you tell them about problems. So since I now knew for a fact that he was, not only did I hear it from these two, I heard it from other people that, yes, he was going around saying stuff. I did have a conversation with my supervisor, and I said that I am aware that he's saying things. I do not know the details of what he's saying, but it needs to stop. And now at this point, it's getting to where we're both in the office and I'm talking to him and he's being very, very combative. And I said to him, I said, this is very, very unprofessional. And I said that your energies should probably be directed elsewhere, that I don't know you from Adam, so we're just here to do a job. And one of our supervisors did say to him that, she does have a point. Like, I don't know you. So this weird behavior, I just couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Racism.
So it was so bizarre to me, like I just don't understand. And then I would go on leave and I'll come back and I'll find out that things that I had told him to do, he didn't do, or he would do things that I'll get. So we weren't a sport. We were just, I'm not even sure how you describe it. It was just two yeomen at an air station. So whenever we needed things keyed, we literally just sent stuff to the base and they did all that. So whenever he sent things there, they were wrong, or he was rude to them. It was just he was emoting all over the place. At that point, I was like, okay, we have a problem. This is really bad. At the time, they were treating it, so the way the office space worked, so I sat in an open area, which was kind of like a reception area. He sat in the desk next to me. Across from my office was two officers, the one for the command master chief and the one for the two lieutenants one of them who was, I think they were co-supervisors for a better way of putting it, but one of them was more responsible for both of us. So basically what occurred was, I don't know what he told the command, as in Cruzado, but they started treating the situation like I was the problem. They were trying to send me for the leadership training, the 5-day when they come out to command and they corral everybody and they do the 1-week leadership training.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, okay, it's important that I play along for this. I said, it's all going to come out in the wash. And luckily for them, when it was time for this thing to happen, I was ill, so I wasn't able to go. So I was put in a different class, which was, months later. However, in the interim, I was really trying to figure out what was going on. They now decided to bring in a third party to kind of address the situation. One of the chiefs in the hangar, they brought him in and they said that they wanted him to talk to both of us, to kind of, just a third party to come in, assess the situation. After speaking to both of us, these are things that I found out later. After speaking to the both of us, he went into the XO's office and he told the XO, he actually explained to me, Grinnell told me, he said, I know you don't know me, I work with the swimmers and I have an array of very interesting, personalities on my team. So he explained the reason why he was selected, which made sense. So that they picked someone who had worked with a variety of people, swimmers, different personalities, so he could assess the situation. Mm-hmm. To come up with, okay, here's what's going on here, what should we do? And I said, okay, you ask me questions, tell me what you need to know. He spoke to me at length, went to the XO's office and gave a recommendation, which I'll reveal later. So it's now they got him in, he's done his work, he goes about his business. I'm working and I can tell that, yeah, I am in an inferno and this kid is not backing down.
Oh boy.
It's now so bad that everybody, my village is aware, and everybody just kept on saying, because they felt that in order for this to make sense, how scared I didn't realize that my core group was scared until much later. And basically the way it was explained to me was that they thought this was the one that was going to put me in the psych ward.
Oh boy.
Because of all the other things that had happened over the course of my career. They just thought if this was not handled, They definitely, the cheese were going to slide off the crackers and they would lose me because they just thought that one person can't just be dealing with this much. So one day I was going to bed, and I believe it was in the month of September. And I think it might have been September of 2015 when this happened. And I was about to go to bed. And I remember thinking, and by the way, before we get to this point, I was trying to figure out how to get to this kid, like how to get through to him, how to get through this guy. He acted like a kid, so I referred to him as a kid. But this is a grown man. Even when I found out his age, I was shocked. This person was in his 30s.
He was too old to be acting like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, you're too old to be acting like this. You're about to lose your career, because at this point he was already 9 years in and he was a third. So I'm like,
oh, perfect. Let him hire tenure his stupid ass out.
So I said, look, I see the writing on the wall right now. I said, how about I help you study so you could promote?
Girl, why? Don't you be nice to this dumbass.
So here's what I did.
You was trying to save this motherfucker.
So I called my best friend in the Coast Guard, Jennifer. I said, I have a proposal. I'm going to explain to you, and you tell me what you think. So I explained it to her, and she was like, you think he's going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I need to do something because this is not working, and I can't not do something. Okay, T. I was like, so I crafted an email, which she read over because I didn't want it to come from a place of anger. She looked at the email. She was like, yeah, it's good to go. And basically in the email, I said, look, this is where you're at. I think if I arranged our work schedule where I could give you, we could do trainings at least an hour every day, and perhaps some lunches that we could really get you to be, to make it into second. I'm offering this, that let's do this to get you promoted.
And what'd he say? What'd he do?
So I sent it to him. A month goes by, I didn't hear anything from him. So I now approached him and I said, hey, YN3, remember I sent you an email about, studying for the service-wide. Are you interested? He said, and I quote, I don't know about that email, YN1. I can see at this point that this is not an individual who's forward-thinking like that. I thought, okay, that now got my wheel spinning that this man is angry about something. I do not know what the something is. I need to find out what that something is. Otherwise, I am not going to make it. So that night when I was about to lay my head down on my pillow, I can still see myself in my head right now. Something said, if he is this angry, he is venting somewhere. You need to find it. So I got my computer out. Now, mind you, my sleep is important to me. So when my intuition did this, I was not a happy person. But I got up, grabbed my laptop, and I went, like, what does everybody have? Everybody has Facebook.
Yep.
I went on Facebook, put his name in. And I said, to be fair, I can only go as far back as August 4. I want to see, maybe he emoted online. Who knows? And I can find something to explain the vitriol, because I don't know you from Adam. It's not as if maybe I did something with your girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know. It just the anger was coming from somewhere, and I needed to find it. I went online, found him, and then went to August 4 of 2014. And I started from there. The vitriol started on August 4. And he said, and I quote, my new supervisor looks like Fat Albert. And it just went on and on from there. So I grabbed my printer. I printed all the pages.
Good. Yes. Hard copies.
I grabbed a folder. Now I know why you're angry. And, he said something about my complexion. It just went on. I was like, oh, this is your problem. I can't help you.
Right.
I can't fix this for you. This is beyond me. However, all those people who think it's my problem now need to know that there is something wrong with you.
Yes.
So the very next day, I waited for the ASTC to come in, came in, and I said, I need to show you something. And I explained to him what happened, what got me to that point where I did what I did. And then I showed it to him. He was stunned.
Why?
He looked at me, he grabbed the folder, he said, you don't know this, but I had told the EXO when I met with both of you that they need to move him out, and they need to move him out now. He said, I have never spoken to somebody who was so disrespectful and so utterly rude to another human being in my Coast Guard career. I do not know what he said to Bruno. I honestly don't know the details. But that man met with him, met with me, went to tell the EXO that they need to move him out of the air station immediately. What do? They do nothing. Then I now found all the stuff online. So takes my folder, he takes it with me, and goes to the EXO's office. I think somebody had to come with him because he literally was steaming. Walked in there, I heard something slam on the desk, and I heard some voices raised. He went off. And basically, he was angry that you bring me into this craziness, I make a recommendation, and you're like, okay, and you did nothing. Now here we are. They had all that evidence. At that time, I had to go to district. I actually went to district and talked to the gold badge at district.
Okay.
And the gold badge at district, who has been to the air station, who pretty much knows where, people sit was he didn't say he was. I told the gold badge because I didn't know what else to do. The gold badge walked with me and said, you need to go to the office that does the discrimination. So he's like, you need to talk to them. So he got me to talk to them. They gave me a name, and then I had to write a statement about everything from start to finish. So that led into me having to go into mediation.
Why are you in mediation? You didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything, but the way it works is that they ask you what do you want.
Because okay, gotcha.
The accusation that was founded.
Yes.
So it's now kind of like, what do you want?
What would make you whole?
Said,
yes.
What would make me whole? I said, I want out of here. Because at this point, this individual, you need to understand, this is a very well-liked individual. All up and down the chain of command. Like, people loved this dude.
The YN3?
Yes.
The higher tenure? Okay.
Yes. He was very well-liked. So, if you look at it from the standpoint that
he might as well be well-liked. He's not very smart. He had time to work on his personality. It's not like he was reading any manuals. It's not like he was getting his EERs. might as well work on that personality.
But the thing is, there's something about influence. He was well-liked because he had time ahead of me. I do not know how long he was before I got there. So here is me.
That was probably his first
Joe Schmo who just showed up. So my lack of time at the air station was against me, but he had a reputation with them because they knew him. He was their buddy. When I had to now go to mediation, I think at that point everybody saw the writing on the wall. By this time, now this story had gone to a few people, and I started getting phone calls from people who knew me from all the units. And when they call, I just send in my statement because I'm tired. So I just email the statement, and people were shocked. I remember having to address the situation because my marks were affected, like a whole bunch of things they did because they were trying to make me the problem. I called Adwa Hendricks. I don't know her. I was told to call her. I called her. She's like, I know who you need to talk to. She gave me the name of somebody else who, God rest her soul, she's passed away now, and told me pretty much chapter and verse of what I needed to do. And that happened. And when I had to go to mediation, I didn't realize how big of a deal that was. So I called my friend Andrea Smith. She was Andrea Parker at the time, Andrea Smith. Mm-hmm. And I told her I was going to, she's like, oh, no. You're not going to mediation by yourself. We're not doing that. And she's like, I'll call you back. In less than an hour, I had somebody a black female officer who was going to be going to mediation with me.
Nice.
And it was just everybody was lining up to be like, because I think they just thought this had to be the craziest thing ever, that this got to that point and no one did anything. Carrie Wolf came to me. Now, mind you, I had seen Carrie Wolf at the daycare, dropping off and picking up her kids.
Wait,
That's
Carrie...
all I knew about her.
Hold on, Carrie Wolf, the engineer officer?
Yes.
Yo, you know her? Okay.
Yeah, yes, I do know her. She's the one who went to I remember at the time I think she was a lieutenant commander, and I don't know what she is. She might be a commander, I don't know, and I don't want to use the wrong your wrong rank. So yes, Carrie Wolf came with me. But what I really loved about that was that I don't even think she probably even didn't recognize me from daycare, but I knew, like, when I saw, I was like, oh, I know this lady. I've seen her drop her kids off at daycare before because we all use the same daycare. And that's how she went with me and just sat by me. Never spoke to me a day in her life. Okay? But was ready to, Andrea Smith called. She was like, yeah, sure. And she showed up for me.
Wow.
And she came. The mediator was also a retired Coast Guard person, I believe, and when they came and we did the mediation, and the guy was like, I said what I want, and he was like, don't think that's going to be happening, and we kind of left, he left the room, and the mediator said they didn't send somebody who could make decisions here. Like, if this is what you want, this is what you want, and so they had to go and talk to themselves, and that's what I got. I think I did say that I don't know if I was the one who said, I think I was more focused on me leaving the air station more than him losing his career. Because at that point, that goose was already cooked. I don't think either way I would have needed to say much about him losing his career, but that's what ended up happening.
He lost his career?
Oh, yeah, he was kicked out.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Kicked out.
I love to hear it. This is my favorite part of the story.
Well, he was kicked out, and there was an officer whose name I can't remember right now, who said that later when we were talking just before I left, he said that he said, he's also new, in his career as a pilot, and he said that he said he remembers, when he reported and he could hear the way he was talking to me, and he was like, how in the world is this individual in my Coast Guard? Like, it just sounded so crazy to him, how this individual was so okay with acting the way he did, and just, and just being an absolutely yucky human being.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, he lost his career.
Good. He didn't deserve to have it in the first place.
Yeah, I got to move. Yeah.
I hope he's somewhere experiencing life as a homeless vet.
I will say this. Let's just say that I'm a loaded vet because of that experience, if you get my drift.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
I said I am a loaded vet.
A loaded vet.
Because I was just like, this is a little much, and I don't know what could happen. So I wanted to make sure that, I was able to protect my family just in case this went completely sideways.
Good.
So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was going to be safe.
Good. Hey, you do what you got to do, all right? So do you feel the way that you were treated improved with rank? That's the next question. We both know the answer to this one, though.
Oh, no. I don't think it improved one bit. I think what improved was the respect for my skill set.
Okay.
The things I was good at.
Okay.
People knew me for I was good with separations, and I was good with travel.
Oh, you know how to do travel?
I was good with travel. TPACs, all that stuff.
Nice.
Because I used to work in Topeka. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a yeoman, I'm a little jealous. Look, travel was never my strong point.
People hated TPAC. They hated when they had to send me their travel claims. You could see their faces fall because they knew whatever they claimed in there that just shouldn't have been claimed. This person, he approved it. Do I look like this person to you? No, okay. You need to take that out. If the intent is for me to approve and send this on so you can be reimbursed,
Lord,
then please let's adhere by the, is it called the JTR now? Let's adhere by that.
Yep. I was a yeoman, and I remember paying another yeoman to do my travel claim for me.
No!
Look, it was embarrassing, man. I didn't want to just like sit there and mess up my own travel claim.
Oh no. No, but
And here's the thing with travel claims. Sometimes you need to be like logged in under your own ID or whatever to like do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, here's my ID, here's here's my login, and here's $20. I'm disappearing. When I come back, this shit better be done.
Now, I do remember they tried to do that when I was in, I guess they were in, I think it was in, where is it called? I think it was in Puerto Rico, where they were doing that for one of the captains. And I'm like, oh, no, we are not going to the brig together. You will make me his proxy. You will make me his proxy, and then I can facilitate this. And they thought I was playing. I'm like, you want me to do this? I have no problem. But you need to make me his proxy, and then I will do that. And they were like, oh, you're too much. Yeah, but I'm not going to the brig, so we'll be okay. Because if something happens now, well, YN1 did it.
I'm glad you thought that you could go to the brig for erroneous travel claims, but you didn't. Look.
Go ahead.
But you knew that nobody was going to the brig for yelling at you in Puerto Rico. That's correct, and that's a bigger crime, by the way.
Yeah, I just could not. I think my concerns were, don't lose your temper, don't let anyone mess up your retirement, and don't end up insane. Those were my three concerns.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't want to end up so mentally broken that it wouldn't have been worth it in the end. And sometimes I kind of still wonder, like, was it all worth it? I don't know. That's a question I still haven't been able to answer for myself. Yeah.
We all wonder that. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Has there ever been a tough situation you were able to help out another sister? Or a tough situation where another sister helped you out?
Well, I had mentioned earlier where I had spoken to Adwara Hendricks, and I met Kerry Wolf and Andrea Parker. It was their names I'm not mentioning here of people who just stepped up when they heard about what had happened in Louisiana. So they definitely were, yeah, they were really there for me, and I don't think I'll never forget it. I think that time in my life was it was very tough, and it was tough because of the way people behaved and what they chose to see, and just people stepping up was it was very nice just to see people were like, no, that's not how we're doing it. You will not do this by yourself. This is what we're going to do.
Good. And Miss Hendricks is, I think, a gold badge, right?
I thought she retired.
A retired gold badge. I
think. Okay. Very well deserved. Very well deserved.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Very
indeed. Well deserved. Yeah, I never met her either, but I don't know who gave me her number. Someone just said, you need to call this person.
By the way, you have the most interesting connection stories. Earlier, you never met Miss Hendricks, but she's an impact on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
you never met Lisa Spotwood, but she put us in touch with each other.
I know.
That is hilarious. Lisa Spotwood don't know you, then why did she give me your number?
Well, because she asked me for the information. She actually sent me a message, and I remember when I read it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to. So I had some decisions to make if I wanted to do it or not. But I was like, you know what's the worst thing that could happen? So I was.
There you go.
Which is where I assess things in a backward manner. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. Let's just see.
Tell you what, Lisa Spotwood knows people even when she don't know people.
She knows people, and yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Tell me something you wish you had known before joining the service. Do you wish you had gone a different rate?
Actually, I actually thought about going PA at first.
Really?
And then when I found out how long the school is and some of the criteria of how you get to the school, it gave me pause, as in the things you needed to do before you are able to go to the school. I didn't know how I would stack up. So I didn't think it was going to be the right path at the time. I don't know if they still do it this way, where you have to go and meet with one of the PAs.
Now, when we say PA, we're talking public affairs, right? The people.
Yeah, public affairs.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to. At the time, I think one of it was, you get the test scores combinations, which is, I think, one of the ones I almost qualified for and needed like 5 points or something. But then there's that, and you had to go and meet a public affairs specialist and like go to an office and kind of do an interview before they would let you. And I really remember thinking that I don't feel, the comment, recommending you that you had to happen. And with the other stuff that was going on at the small bus station I was at the time, I didn't feel that, with the 5 points already being a drama, I didn't think that they would, number one, try to assist. Number two, if even when I got there, somebody wouldn't try to do something underhanded. It felt like you had to, what's the word? Like you kind of had to, there might have been a little bit of some kind of a popularity contest to be able to do this one thing. So I said, I would rather do what it is I can do on my own, where the success is not determined by somebody else.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I kind of focused on being a yeoman.
You have a degree, don't you? You're a college
graduate.
Yes,
I do.
Right on. But something else you told me about yourself, this is very interesting. Both of your parents have doctorate degrees?
Yes, they do. Yes.
So did your parents ever side-eye you for not being as cool as they are?
No, basically what happened was, so my mom didn't really, as long as I did something, I don't think my mom really cared about, she wasn't really, it was more like, okay, college, whatever, you're doing something. My dad was like, actually he was the same, but his delivery was a little different. He I'd been working on, I went to college, this is the part that you don't know. I went to the University of Minnesota Morris. I think I was there for about a couple of years.
Okay.
And I remember kind of, when you sign those promissory notes every year and, the school loans is paying for your school fees. And I remember thinking to myself, how long am I going to have to pay this back? And I started to feel, it actually has a physical effect on me. I feel physically uncomfortable with debt.
Makes sense.
I didn't grow up in a culture of credit cards.
Right.
I grew up in a culture where you earned it, you paid cash for it.
Right.
So when I came and you go to college and I had to figure out a way to pay for college, I was like, okay, this is going to cost a lot of money and I'm just finding these things every year. How's this going to work at the end of the day? So I said that I needed to figure out how to pay for college and then go back to college. So then I joined the military. But then before I joined the military, I remember December of 1998, my dad sent a letter to me. Mm-hmm. And he said that he let me know I had a new baby sibling.
Oh, congratulations.
And I was like, and I remember giving the letter side eye. And then he said, by the way, what are you doing? Either you join the military or go to college. And I remember chuckling at the time thinking, isn't this interesting? What exactly do you plan to do all the way from Nigeria? No, sorry, that thought didn't go through my head.
You know what? You were grown. You had every right to ask that question. What you gonna do? You a
like,
whole continent away now. You a whole ocean away.
And then I was like, okay, let's see if I think I probably could accomplish both. I can join the military and also get a degree. That's how that came about. Yeah, but I don't think they felt, they were both academicians. I don't think they expected me to do the chapter and verse of what they did. Like, it's just, it's not, also because of the financial aspect of it. Now, if I was in Nigeria, the expectation would have been very different. However, because I was here, and trying to do those things costs money. So there was more of a leeway and a wiggle room for me to do it the way that I did.
Can you tell me about a time you learned a lesson that you weren't ready to learn?
I think the lesson I learned sometimes is that sometimes your truth is not going to save you. And sometimes it's not going to be good enough for anybody but you. As insane as that sounds, for those of us who have found ourselves in that situation, we have to learn to make peace with it in that moment so that we can do what we need to do. And I think that was definitely a very, very hard lesson to learn, that, that's just the way it is. I think that was, when I think about it, I think that was it for me.
That sounds like a consistent lesson being taught and learned in the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
You have to make peace with your reality not being everybody else's reality.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are a better leader than the ones you grew up under? The answer is yes, Tinunola.
Well, wait, hold on. I would say about 10% of, I'm being generous, I would say about 5% of the leaders that I worked under, knew how to be leaders. And I'm a better leader because of that 5%. 5%? Of the pie of 10%. 5% of those were good leaders.
Okay, so you're better than like 95% of the people. That's a yes, Tinunola.
No, I had to.
How are we debating about this? You just said. Hey, 5% of the people that I worked under were good. The other 95% were knuckleheads. Yeah, I'm better than these knuckleheads. Yeah. I'm better. Yes, you are.
I guess I will agree. But the funny thing is that if you ask me to come and supervise somebody now, I will tell you, how about I give you 2 weeks? Because I don't have the patience. I have not taken a supervisory job since I retired. For
Understandable.
good reason. I just don't think I have it. I don't think I have it in me to put up with crazy anymore. I'm just done. I think I'm done with crazy moments in my life.
I
no.
do not blame you. You deserve peace. Are there any sisters in service that inspire you?
There are many.
You want to give them a shout out? We already know Carrie Wolf. We already know. Is it Adwa? I don't know how to say this lady's first name. That's why I keep calling her Miss Hendricks.
Adwa Hendricks. It's
Adwa.
Actually, I believe it's a Ghanaian name. I might not be saying it properly though. Adwa.
Master Chief Hendricks. That's what I should be
Master
saying.
Chief Hendricks. I mean, it's like, how they say the word, like the stand-up guy, the stand-up girl. These people really stood up. I remember Patricia Powell, who was my senior chief in Topeka.
That's a sister?
The funny thing is, yes, she is.
You had a sister senior chief?
Yes, I did. I was one of the lucky few.
Yes, indeed.
And I remember when I first met her, too. And she was awesome. And
nice.
It's actually a funny story. One day, my supervisor called herself, giving me my evaluations. And when she sent it up to Senior Chief Powell, Senior Chief Powell looked at it. And I don't know what transpired between both of them, but the way I understood it was like the person you observed and the person I observed must have been two different people because she changed all the marks.
Good.
And,
Good.
And the wine was very, very upset.
Good.
So, and there was another day when I put in for leave, I do it way in advance. And people always say, I'm a planner. Like, I want to do something 3 months from now, I put in for the leave now.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, we mark it on the calendar. I'm going to be out this day. And all of a sudden, the YN1 comes into the office and says, oh, see that day you plan to take off next week? You can't take it off. Huh? You mean the one that you approved months ago?
Right.
Yeah, you can't because I'm not quite sure what I was thinking at the time, but I have something going on. Basically, long story short is, this YN1 had a thing in Kansas City. And she now realized that we couldn't both be out at the same time.
Okay, but you had already got your leave approved.
But I already got my leave approved. So, and I was just like, well, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to help you. My leave is already approved. Because what she was trying to do was go to this event and not come back the same day. She wanted to sleep over. I'm just kind of looking at her like, well, this doesn't sound like a tea problem. As far as I'm concerned. So I remember walking out of the office, like I had to go do something, and ended up in the bathroom. And senior chief, all of a sudden, comes in behind me. She looked at me, girl, you better go. Let her take the leave from you.
I love Senior Chief Pal. Oh my God.
And she just said that to me and walked out.
Shots out to Senior Chief Pal.
Because I think what people don't realize is that when you work in an office space like that, people hear stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she's not in our space, but she can hear the things that are going on. So she just came. She didn't even stay 1 minute. She was gone. So I now realized that, yeah, this feels funny. And I have a little bit of leverage. So I was like, okay. So I go back into the office. And so she's like, so what are we going to do? I said, okay. I said, I'm willing to work within the parameters of the following. I said, your goal is to go to this event and spend the night. And my goal is to get the day off. I said, so I will come up with a compromise. I understand my leave got approved. So technically, I should be able to take leave.
Right.
But I think that I would like to be fair. Even though I think being fair is for me to go on my leave. But because you also need the time, you will go to your event, you will spend the night, and you will be here by a certain time that morning, and I will get the day off, and you will not charge me leave.
Okay.
How does that sound to you? I just like, oh, okay. So that's how we worked it out. But
nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
Oh man, yeah, she's a lovely person. Yeah, those Senior Chief Patricia Powell, Andrea Parker. There are many. There's some who are even civilian who are married to military people. There's Denise Cunningham, who read all my class papers that I had to write for college, and my ally Jen, who I've adopted as a sister. I don't even know. People don't understand. I think there's also another thing about when you have friends who don't look like you. Sometimes a lot of people don't understand the concept of an ally.
Right.
That there are actually people out there who see what's going on, and in matters where they can speak out, they speak out. And or they do things behind the scenes to make sure you get the care that you need. There were, quite a few of those, and of that was Jennifer Hall. And I think so. The thing about it is that a lot of people came together to make sure, people stepped up to make sure, to help me stay whole from beginning to end. My recruiter, good example here, my recruiter, Keisha Slay. Her name is Keisha Slay now. This was out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And who I asked lots of questions from when I was going to boot camp, and she gave me, even to the point of the best way to do my hair so that it's not an issue, which still ended up being an issue anyway, because some CC thought it would be a good idea to try to make me put my, you know how you do braids and you do cornrows all the way to the middle and then you put singles in the back?
Yes.
And then you do a French braid and tuck it under. That's what I did. Here's out of the face. There's very little bulk because I didn't do I did tiny extensions, very neat. Had the audacity to tell me that my hair can't be this many braids, it has to be one single braid. I'm like, okay, this is joyful. So the first time I had, I got on the telephone and I called my recruiter.
Right.
By this time, I had cut the hair so it was above my collar, because this woman every day wouldn't let up. She'll see me at lunch and the way they do the thing where everybody sitting down eating and they just kind of go off on you. So I called my recruiter and I told her what was going on. She's like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. What's the name of your company commander? I told her. So I don't know what she did or what she said. My company commander came to ask me what was going on, and I explained to him what was going on. But by that time, I had already cut the braids, the length of it, and he said, I got it, I'm taking care of it. That don't do anything else, because I think he probably realized that the next thing I was probably going to show up at breakfast bald or something. So yeah. They'll leave me the heck alone.
Right.
So that happened. But just there are lots of people whose names I probably don't remember, but
Keisha Gilsley.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Gilsley.
Shouts out to you, Keisha Gilsley. I don't know her rank.
No, it's Keisha Slay.
Keisha Slay. All right. Shouts out to you, Keisha Slay. Yeah. All right. Let's say you were just starting out your life on your own, and you were presented with the chance to join the service for the first time. Knowing what you know now, would you still join?
I would.
What?
I would join. Hold on.
Did we just hear the same story?
Yes, we had the same story. There's a reason. Because remember, it's still the same. Oh, wait a second. Wait, ask the question again. Maybe I don't understand. No, hold on. Ask the question again. Maybe I don't understand.
You understood the question. I understood the answer, but let me go ahead and put it on repeat. All right, here we go. Let's say you were just starting out your life on your own and you were presented with the chance to join the service for the first time. Knowing what you know now, would you still join? Oh, now you want to think about it?
No. I would still join, but I would not join the Coast Guard.
Okay, all right.
I would join at the age of 18, and I would do one enlistment and take my GI Bill and go straight to college.
Okay. So what branch would you join?
The Air Force. I mean, that goes without saying.
You think you would want to join the Air Force because it seems like it's friendly towards black people because it's the youngest branch and they started accepting black people into the branch at a quicker rate than any other branch of service. But the Air Force is trash too.
Really?
They are hot garbage.
They have amenities. The amenities are just
the amenities.
Divine.
You know what? You're right. It's 5-star. You are correct. 5-star amenities. Like they don't even call it a mess hall. They call it a dining facility, and that's because you dine. You don't mess. Like it's good stuff. So you're right with that. But if you
but I would have only done one enlistment.
But if you think you about to just get better treatment from the Air Force than the Coast Guard, they will show you different brands of racism you didn't know existed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, go ahead and listen to like 2 of my other episodes with Air Force ladies. That'll give you a little insight. One of them's called one of them's titled Load Toad. That's one of my most recent episodes. And the other one is titled Bundles for You. Now she was an officer, an Air Force officer. Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, do it. Oh, and I am also prior service Air Force.
Oh, Okay.
Like, some of this is firsthand recounting.
Oh, no.
But the amenities.
Okay.
Like, you're experiencing racism in the nicest facilities.
This is so wrong. This is so wrong. Oh, wow.
Look, they made...
I just think this is sad, though. Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. Good to know.
Hey, nope, that's what I'm here for. Okay,
Yikes.
If you had a daughter or any young impressionable black girl in your life that you cared about, and she was considering a life in the military, would you try to talk her out of joining?
I would want to hear the reason why they're joining. However, I would only still recommend one enlistment for the GI Bill. That's it.
Makes sense.
But I want to know the reason why they're joining. I think that would be very important. If you're trying to join to become a more disciplined person, I don't know. But if you're trying to just get your life right and get out of, the gangs of the neighborhood, do they even still exist? Because I did actually go to class. I did not know this was a thing. But when I went to boot camp, apparently there was a thing where if you went through the court system, there were judges who said either you go to jail or you join the military.
Yeah. So they're straight up just sending criminals to the military.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I think there were a couple of those in my company, and a few people who were trying to, get away from gangs, who just wanted a different life for themselves. Mm-hmm. Like they were trying to get out of the neighborhood, and they realized that they weren't going to be able to do that leaving by themselves when it came financially, and they were like, oh, wait, travel? Discipline? I need this. And they just joined. But I did not know that was a thing. Very scary.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yep. So you would not try and talk her out of joining. And just to be clear, the reason black women especially join the military is just for college benefits. Like, we're not joining to become more disciplined. Are you kidding me?
No. I mean, just
living as a black woman in America is a humbling experience. You don't need more discipline after that. It's just for the benefits.
I think the there's the racism in the military and the racism in the civilian world. I just think it's about what flavor of racism do you want?
Right.
So, and sometimes it's so subtle that if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. But then you start to be like, wait a second here.
Right.
What are we doing?
Right.
So.
Well, this flavor of racism comes with VA benefits.
So it's just,
Recruitment and retention is down across all the branches and with all the demographics. Black women are not excluded from that. This was true even before the pandemic. Why do you think black women are so disinterested in joining the military?
Well, let's see. Number one, the money. Mm-hmm. Number two, the lack of care. Mm-hmm. And number three, the racism and disrespect.
How is racism number three, Tinunola?
Well, sometimes it doesn't come out. It doesn't come at you, It shows up in increments. It shows up as...
How did you number these? You said number one, the money. Number three, way down the line, possibly the racism. I don't know.
I'll tell you why. Because that's not my brain, the way it works. That's not my go-to.
Okay.
It takes a while for me to be like, wait a second. That feels like, no, seriously, it's not my go-to at all. And then when I start to play back events in my head, I'm like, this feels like. So, it feels very strange to me.
Wow.
All right. Then, yeah, because I had a recent experience where I had to provide guardians on a situation, and provided the guardians, and then all of a sudden, a week later, we're still talking about the information I provided. Then we have to go verify for somebody else. And I'm like, and then at the end of the day, what was the information coming back to? The same thing I said in day one. And somebody finally called them out and be like, didn't she tell you this the first day this happened? So I started to like, what are you looking for? Like, what is this? So it just feels, it's just, but sometimes like you can't, honestly, the way my brain, I don't go there first. When the event happened at the air station, and this is the reason why I didn't. The person who did this was Hispanic. You are a minority. I am a minority. What I did not know
you thought Hispanics couldn't be racist.
Oh, well, apparently I found out. No, it's not. Hold on. I found this, but this also, well, there's also a reason for this. I spent the first 15 years of, 15 years of my my childhood in Nigeria. So those subtle hints that would have bumped me upside the head, I didn't grow up with it. Wow. So when people are doing stuff, everybody is like, T, do you not notice? No, T doesn't notice. I have no idea. So when this person was doing all that stuff, I didn't pick up on it because those are cues that I didn't grow up with. When I saw paper, receipts, Facebook, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see your problem. I can't help your problem. That was when my brain was like, oh, this is what this is. It's very weird to explain. Like, I don't pick up on the cues as fast as probably someone who grew up dealing with it right from the beginning.
You probably pick up on them now, don't you?
Yeah, my first blush with racism was at age 18. Didn't know anything about that until then.
Wait a minute, you moved over here when you were 15, and
no, I moved to Nigeria when I was, I think, 3. Yes, 3. Came back when I was 18.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, you came here at 15 and you didn't experience racism until you were 18?
No,
they gave you a 3-year buffer?
I came back at 18. So
so it was immediate.
I didn't know any of that. So even till now, it's kind of like, is it, isn't it? And then when someone else says, like, T, it's not, and then I will pay it. Because that's not what I'm looking, I don't go, but I did find out some interesting things about my situation in Louisiana. I come to find out that apparently, I did not know this was a thing in the service, that Hispanic men do not like to work under Black women.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
That is absolutely a thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a thing. So this guy who was emoting all over the place had a really big problem with me because
you're
I'm a
higher
Black
ranking.
female.
You're in charge. And his stupid ass was getting kicked out.
Yeah, and everybody was like, how did you not know this? I didn't grow up here, all these cues, I have no idea. No clue.
Everybody is racist against Black people.
I didn't know.
You know now. It took you a while, but you know now. I'm sorry.
Yes, I do know now.
And I would also argue that was a lesson that you weren't ready to learn. That was question number 13.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of them. I had no idea. I had no clue. And that was, people are like, how do you not know this? I had no idea. No clue.
I got you. Tinunola, if you were conducting this interview from where I'm sitting, what question would you have asked you that I did not ask you?
While I'm aware that this is about Black women and Black veterans, I probably would have asked if there were any allies out there for me, and there were a few who stepped up.
All right.
And who did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And who let me know that it was okay to the thing about the Louisiana situation was that that situation scared my village. They were very scared.
Mm.
And I didn't know that until when I was on my way from Louisiana to Seattle. And my friend Jennifer called me and she said, the way I'm seeing this at this point, when you get to your 20, you need to leave. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, a person can only take so much. Apparently, they were afraid that if one more thing happened, that would be the one. Like they said, if this one didn't break you, at this point, they felt that one more crazy thing happened, that would be the one that would send me to the VA psych ward. So,
yeah.
She begged me and said, when you get to your 20, we love you. We don't care what rank you are. Just be, you need to let it go. And so when I got stationed, when I was coming here, I did not know this was going to be my last duty station. And then something happened one day. And then I realized, you know what? I have options.
Yep. I'm
going. And when I let them know, my supervisor was shocked. She thought I was kidding. Like, no, I'm not joking. I could do better outside.
Yes.
I would like to be in a place where I would be respected to a certain degree, and when I can have people who would fight for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I put in my letter and it was done. So, but there were some allies that were there who assisted, and I think possibly, another question would be, what makes people afraid to step up to help when crazy things happen? I think a lot of it is also people being afraid to how their helping others would affect their own careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I think that is also another thing, because I did have people who saw what was going on, who could not really do anything because they were afraid of how it would affect their own careers. There's a lot online for them, so it's a possibility that you say one thing, next thing you know, you're either passed over or all of a sudden your marks look crazy. Mm-hmm. You just never know. So I try to look at it from, this term that came up around COVID, giving grace, even though I don't want to. But I also
are you giving grace, or are they just taking it?
Because I'm also not perfect. I think, it's kind of like, it's bittersweet in a way.
95% of your leaders weren't perfect either.
No, that's true. I don't know. That's true. That's very true.
Is there anything you would like to leave our audience with?
I think if anyone listens to this and they're still serving, I think you need to, and if you're in a position of authority, you need to listen to your people. And if you happen to be a high person who is of a higher rank and they tell you stuff, I think you need to do your due diligence to make sure that what you're being told is actually the reality of any situation. When people's careers are on the line, when their livelihoods are on the line, their promotions are on the line, I think that's the least anybody can do is do their due diligence. And I think people need to learn to listen and pay attention. You can't sit in your office and not do anything. And you're like, oh, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Because that's not how it works in the real world. Right. These kind of things cost companies millions of dollars. So we get away with it in the military because that's just the way it is.
It's the culture.
The culture, yes.
Yeah.
But people need to pay attention and do the right thing. But even when it's not convenient, they have to do the right thing all the time.
That's right. Well, that wraps up my questions for you. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. Thank you for taking this phone call. Thank you for taking the time. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk with me and be a part of this interview. Thank you. And I know you hate me calling you this. Thank you, YN1 Tinunola. And thank you to our audience. Please stay tuned for the outro. And that concludes this episode of the Seasoned Vet Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, and a special thank you to Yeoman First Class Adelakin for sharing her story and taking the time to make this interview possible. Now, if you are or know a Black lady veteran who would like to sit down with me and be a part of this show, please email me at seasonedvetpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call or text message me at 713-254-0970. You can also find, follow, and inbox me, the Seasoned Vet, across all platforms of social media. At Real Seasoned Vet on Twitter, at Seasoned Vet Podcast on Instagram, at Seasoned Vet Podcast on TikTok, at Seasoned Vet on YouTube, Seasoned Vet on Facebook. Y'all, I'm so out there, I'm even on Spoutable. That's at the Seasoned Vet on Spoutable. All episodes of this show are available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, and anywhere you get your podcast. Now, if you like what you heard, please like it, share it, rate it, and leave a good review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And if you're hearing this episode on the day that it drops, then you're listening to it on June 17th, 2024. On this day in 1957, the Tuskegee boycott began. This is when Black people boycotted city stores in protest against an act of state legislation that deprived them of municipal votes by placing their homes outside the city limits. Today is also the 44th birthday of world-famous tennis star Venus Williams. Thanks again for rocking with me for a whole year. It really means a lot, and I hope to give you many more episodes. Thank you again for tuning in, and until next time, fall out.